Hey guys, I'm sure by now you have seen the stuff that's come out from FCPS, and it's just the fact that this Friday is basically the last day that I'm going to be able to assign you anything. And with that being said, and with everything going on in the world, I'm just going to tell you right now, the rest of the week is going to be easy. I'm done. I'm sure you guys are too. So hang in there. Just follow along this week, and then we'll be done. This will be the last actual big lesson, and it's actually a nice review lesson from what we've had before. So let's talk about circles. Okay. If you have your notes printed out, which I hope you do, notice that you have the distance formula, and remember the distance formula is just simply square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. The biggest thing here is a lot of people forget to do the squares. So if you don't remember to do the squares, that does kind of set you off a little bit. Okay. Midpoint, remember guys, midpoint is very similar. Sorry, this is distance. Okay, the midpoint formula is just simply an average. You just take your two x's and average them together. And you take your two y's and average them together. And that'll give you your midpoint. Please don't add your x and y together, because then it's not a point, then it's just a number that makes no sense whatsoever. And then you have the standard form of your circle, which, as we've said before, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. The biggest thing here, a lot of students forget that this is r squared, okay? And then the other thing that happens is that they also forget that hk is the center of the circle, okay? So look at your notes. It says write the equation of the circle from the given information in standard form. You have a radius equal to 5. This is question number 1. Radius equals 5. And you're given the center is -2, 5. Well, basically just plug everything into the formula. This is very straightforward. X minus -2 squared. So this minus the negative, I'm going to change that to a plus, because I hope you all realize that you can do that. And then I have a plus, and then I have y minus 5 squared is equal to r squared. Well, r is 5, so 5 squared is 25. Just remember to do the squared, guys. Everything should be pretty straightforward for you. Okay, now let's take a look at number 2, because that one is a little bit trickier. We have a center of 6, 5, so I have a center (6, 5). And one of the points on the circle is the point 3, 4. So I have an x, y of the point 3, 4. So what do I not have? I don't have the radius. So let's fill in using our formula again. I have 3 minus 6 squared plus 4 minus 5 squared equals r squared. Well, 3 minus 6 is -3. -3 squared is 9. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. So 9 plus 1 equals r squared. So 10 equals r squared. So what is the formula then? Well, let's just take out the x and y and put it back in standard form. I have x minus 6 squared plus y minus 5 squared is equal to 10. Please do not square that r. Do not square that 10. That would be incorrect. You need to make sure that you are doing the correct, remember this was r squared, so just leave it as 10. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. We have a center of 9, 10, and one of the points is 5, 4. Okay, so this one is exactly like the last one we just had. So we have a center of 9, 10, 9, negative 10, sorry. And we have a point, or an x, y value of 5, 4. So, plug it into a formula. We've got 5 minus 9 squared plus 4 minus negative 10, which is 4 plus 10 squared, equals r squared. So we end up with 5 minus 9, which is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16, plus 14. 14 squared, which is 196, equals r squared. All right, so 196 plus 16, well, that's 212. All right, so then what is our formula? Or what's the equation? It's simply x minus 9 squared plus y plus 10 squared is equal to 212. Okay. So let's take a look at number 4. Number 4 gives us the endpoints of the diameter. So I'm going to do a little picture here for you. Here's a circle. And we have a point here. We'll call this point 3, 6. And then we have another point at negative 7, 4. And this is a diameter, so it goes through the center of the circle. Okay, so there's a point here. So if it goes through the center of the circle, then this point right here is the midpoint of these 2 points. So how do I find the midpoint of 2 points? Well, I just take the x's and the y's and add them and average them. So to find the center, so I'm going to write this down, center equals midpoint of diameter. So how do I find the midpoint? Well, it's negative 7 plus 3 divided by 2, comma, 4 plus 6 divided by 2. Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4, so negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. 4 plus 6 is 10, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So the midpoint, or the center of the circle, is negative 2, 5. Now I have the center of the circle, and I have not just one, but I have 2 different points. Now this problem becomes just like number 2 and 3. Just choose either point, either 3, 6 or negative 7, 4 as your xy. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to do. Okay, now there are things that we also need to do. We need to write an equation using completing the square. Completing a square seems to drive you guys nuts. So I just want to review with you exactly what we're looking at. All right, so we need to. So I'm going to do it just by doing the example. You can read the notes that we have there. I'm going to go right into number 5. I have x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 12y minus 4 equals 0. Okay. So the first thing we got to check for is the coefficient of x squared 1. Yes. Okay, so that's good. So now we need to find the b part also. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rewrite this so that we have x squared minus 6x. And then we'll skip a little space, and I have y squared plus 12y. And I'm going to move the 4 to the other side, so it's going to equal 4. Now, my b coefficient is negative 6. What do I want to do to complete the square? I want to take half of negative 6. So what's half of negative 6? 1/2 times negative 6 is negative 3. And I'm going to put a little square around that because I'm going to remember that. But then I have to take that and square it. So negative 3 squared is 9. That's what I'm going to add to my little hole up here. I'm going to add 9. Now, remember guys, this is an equation. So if I add 9 on the left-hand side, I also have to add 9 on the right-hand side. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the y. I'm going to find my b coefficient, which is 12. I'm going to take half of that, so 1/2 times 12 equals 6. And I'm going to put a little box around that to remember it. And then I'm going to take 6 squared, which is 36. And that's what I'm going to put into this hole. So I'm going to add 36 to this. I'm going to add 36 to this. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a perfect square. This is a perfect square trinomial. We're going to factor it so that we have 2 perfect squares. So factoring this is very straightforward. It's x, and look, this number that I put right here in the box, that is what I'm going to write down. X minus 3 squared. Just like that with the y. So I wrote this 6 in the box, so I've got y plus 6 squared. You don't actually have to do any factoring. This is what it is every single time. The only thing you have to be careful of is adding. Well, what's 36 plus 4? Well, that's 40 plus 9 is 49. And look, we now have standard form. You should be able to tell me the center of this. The center of this circle is going to be 3, negative 6, and the radius is going to be 7. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Okay. Let's do number 8 together. We have x squared plus y squared plus 4x equals 4y plus 1. Now this one's got a little weird stuff to it. Notice I have the 4y on the wrong side of the equation. I want it on the other side of the equation. So I'm going to move that over to the left, and I'm going to combine everything with like terms at the same time. So I have x squared plus 4x. I'm going to leave my space. I have y squared minus 4y because I moved the positive 4y to this side. I'm going to leave a space, equals 1. Now again, 1/2 of 4 equals 2. We'll box that. And then 2 squared equals 4. And that goes into my hole. So I add 4. And I add 4. Now, 1/2 of negative 4 equals negative 2. We'll box that. Then I have negative 2 squared equals positive 4. Please don't tell me it's negative 4. And that goes into that hole. So I'm going to add 4 more. And now, remember the reason I boxed these, because I'm making your life easier, guys. X plus 2 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9. So what's the center of the circle? Negative 2, positive 2. What's the radius? 3. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's take a look at our last problem for today. Number 10. We have y squared equals negative x squared plus 6x minus 2y minus 9. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything to the left-hand side except for that negative 9. So I'm going to have x squared minus 6 minus 6x, leave my hole, y squared plus 2y, leave my hole, equals negative 9. Alright, so again, 1/2 times negative 6. Remember, it's 2 steps. That's negative 3. That's what I'm going to box. And then negative 3 squared is positive 9. So I'm going to add 9. And I have to add it on both sides. Okay. Then I have 1/2 times 2, and that's 1. 1 squared is equal to 1, so that goes in here. So I'm going to add 1. So now what's my final answer? I've got x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 1. So the center of this circle is negative 1, and the radius is 1. That's it for today, guys. I would like you guys to do number 6, 7, and 9 on your own, see what you come up with, and I will tell you what those are tomorrow. Alright, enjoy your day.